So this is going to be a really short video on just how to do the first part of what you need to do to create an exploded isometric view of your assembly. And the first part of that process is to create an IPN file, which is an inventor presentation file, and it's actually used generally for doing animations and things like that. But it allows us to create a representation of your assembly where all the components are kind of separated out. There are other ways to do that. Using representation views within Inventor assemblies, but this is the quickest and easiest way to do it, to be honest. So we're going to go down this path by going and creating a new file, and that file will be an IPN file, and they are way down at the bottom by themselves here. So we insert the assembly file that we have. So I'm just going to go and find that one. Going to assembly. There we go. Now, I am going to basically take these different components and move them apart. So I want to make sure that when I am finished, this is arranged isometrically in the way that I want it to be for my exploded isometric. So if I wanted it orientated this way, that's probably ideal. Now, there are different ways of going about doing this, but the simplest way to think about it is that you want to leave that key part here that you used as your kind of grounded component in your assembly, basically where it is, and everything else is going to be exploded off of it. Now, that part there is just a single component, so it'll just go down the way, because that reflects the way that it connects. It would go in from the bottom, so it would be exploded out to the bottom, and these will go out to the front. However, these are going to have to come out of that as well. So it tends to make sense to explode things that are kind of coming out in groups, in a group first, and then work your way down to the smaller components as you go. So to do that, I'll hold Control so that I can select all of these components. And I'm going to do Tweak Components. This wee button here allows me to grab all those things and move them out. Now we can specify an actual dimension for how far they're going to move out. I'll just get rid of that so we've got a bit more space here. Or you can just do it by eye. And by eye is absolutely fine, because the key thing is that in your exploded isometric, the components do not overlap. That's really important. So make sure that they are not overlapping. So we've brought this out just far enough that they're not overlapping, and that's fine. So we can tick OK there. We now want these two circular components to be exploded out to the front here as well. So we'll select them together. Again, hold Control, and we can select them at the same time. And then we'll just use this wee triad here, use the arrow to drag them out to a point where they are not overlapping that last component. And again, tick OK. And this component here, dead easy, Tweak Components, and we're going to drag the vertical triad and bring that down the way. Now, you could arrange it in different orientations if you felt that worked better. I think this is probably the best one. It makes the kind of assembly of this back component a bit unclear, but I think it's fairly self-explanatory anyway. And I think it's more important to show the detail at the front than to have it kind of viewed from way around at the back here. But obviously, if you change the view like this, you then need to kind of go back and play around with how you tweak the components. So this, for example, you wouldn't want as far down anymore, so you'd probably bring that a bit further back up. On reflection, this might actually be a more illustrative way of putting it together. But I'm not going to change it. I'm going to go back with how I had it originally. I think that's absolutely fine. So all we need to do now is just save this file, and we can just call it 29 assignment assembly exploded. And what we'll do is basically in the drawing where we're going to place our exploded isometric, we will simply use this view here as the view that we place into our exploded view. I'm just noticing actually that slightly overlaps there, so I think I'd probably just need to grab these and nudge them just a wee shade further out so that's not overlapping. There we go. Don't have a problem there now. Anyway, hopefully that helps. As I say, you can just save this file, and when you go to create a view, in your drawing, when you get the dialog box that tells you to select the file or the object that you want to create a view of, just select the IPN file, and you should be able to use the view cube when you're placing the view to orient it whichever way around you want. And I'll do a separate wee bit on that later, but this will let you get the IPN file kind of tucked away.